Just wait while everybody gets in.
The big Rico pudding.
Are we all well?
Aye.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I couldn't sleep last night for excitement, so I'm a bit tired.
You went to
John.
bed.
John, are you sending chocolate cake out to everybody's house?
I'm bloody not.
Oh, dear me.
Keep it for
Deliveroo,
myself.
you could use Deliveroo.
Yeah.
We'll all have to come round to yours then.
Yeah.
It'll have to go into storage.
Keep going.
What's he doing? Don't ask.
See more cake.
You're going to show us the cake, I'll bet.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, for the
Oh,
Wow, that's a beauty.
Whoa.
Oh dear.
The benefit of Mike and Philip,
Looks very like the Hillsborough pitch.
John's wife.
There's a load of donkeys on it.
I was going to say what the players do on it.
well, it'll be all cut up in a minute.
Can't afford undersoil heating.
I can actually see you salivating, Paul.
I am.
Oh no,
You're
no!
right.
Dirty bugger.
You'll have to arrest him if he salivates.
Yeah.
Right.
We could have half each, Paul, couldn't we?
We could.
I think it looks like we're all here at the moment. So, well, as far as
Some of us have never been all here.
yeah.
The old ones are always the best.
Yeah.
Is there any group news, John?
Well, there was an item in Start other night about Pat Midgley, who was a councillor, a very well-loved councillor, was married to Don, who was one of our lads at Manor. And it featured a nice tribute to her from her daughter and from the Star, and a lovely picture, only spoiled by the fact that in old days it'd be like the staples were right between his ears. There were picture of Don and Pat as young uns in their early 20s, up to a very handsome pair. So it was great. But the fold of the paper came right down the middle of Don's head. So he came apart.
He's still in A&E, isn't he? Having them taken out.
Yeah. Well, after I phoned him to establish contact, I had 4 further phone calls from Don saying, like, who are you?
Oh dear.
Yeah, including one at 12:05. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't anybody say that to you at 12:05?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who are you?
And what are you doing in that gutter?
Right.
Who are you?
It's
So, as everybody now knows, today is John's birthday.
Hooray!
So,
Wise old owl.
Barney.
so in tradition with normal people's birthdays, but we'll do it on John as well. I think we ought to have a chorus of happy birthday. So after
Oh,
three,
no.
1, 2, 3. Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Can't we have rehearsed John, can't you?
That is the worst version I have ever heard. Thank you, lads. Thank
Happy
you.
birthday, John.
I didn't think you could get any worse, but you have done. Thank you for the.
It was a tribute. It was a tribute.
It's about as good as singing Christmas carols.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, with no further ado, we'll move quickly on to Lowell's News of the Week. News of the Week. News of the Week.
Okay. I've got quite a lot, so I'll prattle on.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It'll stimulate conversation eventually.
Can we
Can't
start
stop for
singing
laughing.
again?
We'll start with golf.
That'll
Start with
do.
golf.
Thank you. I'll
The
stop now.
Tiger Woods.
Not Tiger Woods.
Yep. He's in hospital after suffering horrific leg injuries in a car crash last week that some say could mark the end of his 45-year-old's glittering career. He was driving towards a Riviera country club in West Los Angeles last Tuesday morning, where he was supposed to be attending day 2 of a photo shoot on behalf of the sponsors of the Genesis Open Golf Tournament, which took place there. The accident happened on a stretch of road notorious for fatal accidents, and police say Woods is very lucky to be alive. Apparently, he lost control going down a steep hill at speed, rolling over several times after he hit the central reservation, careering across the road and down an embankment. Police said no other cars were involved, no skid marks or signs of braking on the road. The car travelled several hundred feet, careering through trees at the side of the road, narrowly avoiding a telegraph pole, a near miss which greatly increased his chance of survival. Fire crews had to cut him out of the $100,000 vehicle, which had been provided to Woods for his own use by the sponsors. So they're not going to get that car back.
Police think police think that he fell asleep at the wheel.
I think so, yeah.
Well, actually, he was asked what did he think he'd done wrong. He said, well, I think I didn't keep my left arm straight enough and my head a bit further down.
I bet there were some skid marks inside car.
Keep it clean, Keith.
Apparently, it's the first time that he's had a vehicle crash because he's been overtired.
Yeah. Burns the candle a bit, I think, Keith.
Yep. Right.
Okay, carry on. On to rugby union.
Do we have to?
Not come to that one yet. The former Ireland prop, Gary Halpin, has died at the age of 55. The Kilkenny man won 11 international caps between 1990 and 95 and was part of Ireland's 1995 World Cup squad in South Africa. He spent the early part of his playing career at Leinster before moving to England, where he enjoyed spells at Harlequins and London Irish. He also represented Ireland in the hammer throw at the 1987 World Championships.
Is that Dave the Hammer? Whose birthday is this Friday, by the way?
Yes.
Dave the Hammer's birthday on Friday, for those of you who know him.
Cyril's the end of the month.
Now this will get you talking. Wales won the Triple Crown with victory over England by 40 points to 24 in a dramatic Six Nations match at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. Two controversial tries helped Wales open up a 17-14 lead at half-time. Going into the last 15 minutes of the match, with the scores tied at 24 points each, England lost their discipline, conceded 3 penalties and a try, and ended up losing with an emphatic scoreline to Wales. The 40 points was the highest tally Wales have ever made against England in rugby. Any comments on it?
I bet Lee Mason were proud at refereeing.
I've never seen so many Welshmen criticise the referee for his decisions against an England side so much. It was you said it was a drama or it was dramatic, lol. The only drama was the prima donna holding the whistle. He was it
was terrible, wasn't he?
First 5 minutes, prima donna.
The first try, particularly.
Yeah.
The first try was terrible. The second try.
Did you see Johners at half time, Ron? He was beside himself when he heard the commentary between the referee and what's his name?
Owen Farrell.
Yeah.
It's just appalling refereeing.
Out of interest, that second try, surely, technically, it wasn't a knock-on because the ball was never grounded. So
no, it was out of control and moved forward. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. I think the ref was...
I'm not sure it wasn't sort of moving level rather than forward, Ian. The second one I'd give him. The first one was appalling.
Yeah, yeah.
There were some water bottles on the pitch.
The
They're all in
second
a
one,
group.
had it just hit his foot, you'd have said he'd kicked it on.
Yes.
I don't think that was a forward knock on. Sorry.
It was the lack of control. It's interpretation of the rule. Some are giving, some are not. And Ron's right. You know, nobody would really argue. It was because it was hot on the heels after that disastrous decision that brought the first try.
Well, how experienced was that referee?
Sorry?
How experienced was he?
Not that experienced in international levels. Not very much longer in international levels, if I have my way.
Because England have decided not to put a complaint in against him, which they could have done.
Yeah, because they took the view that we panicked and we were crap in the last 20 minutes, and we were.
Yeah. It wasn't the referee that cost them the game.
Correct.
They got it back to 24-all with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And they gave away 4 stupid penalties.
And that's
they were on top as well at that time.
That's taken us back 4 years because we were ill-disciplined 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't there a bit of an argument that some of the penalties that he gave weren't actual penalties?
They were marginal, Keith. Toje's got a really, and we've all done it. Ron will tell you this. You're always pushing the boundaries, that little bit offside, getting a little bit extra pace, the extra step forward. That's what Toje does very well. He spoils, and it's in some games he'll get away with it completely. Other games he'll get pinged every time. It's very marginal. So he was technically correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a little bit on rugby league. The Super League's Magic Weekend has been moved to the weekend of 4th and the 5th of September to allow more fans to be able to attend. The annual event, which sees all 12 top flight teams play in the same stadium across 2 days, was originally scheduled to take place at Newcastle St James's Park ground on the 29th and 30th of May. Under plans to lift the coronavirus lockdown, up to 10,000 fans will be allowed into stadiums from mid-May. Liverpool's Anfield hosted the previous Magic Weekend 2 years ago. Now, a little bit on athletics.
What I can't understand about that is why do they have to have them at football grounds?
Capacity.
Aren't there any rugby grounds big enough?
No. Revenue.
Yeah.
All about the money.
Always is, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah.
A little bit on athletics. Now, American Grant Holloway has broken the indoor 60 meters hurdles world record at the World Indoor Tour in Madrid, Spain. Holloway ran 7.29 seconds to eclipse Welshman Colin Jackson's time of 7.3 seconds, which he set 27 years ago in March 1994. Just been on horse racing. Amateur jockeys will not be allowed to race at this year's Cheltenham Festival. It is understood amateur riders will not return to action before the 29th of March, after the government revealed its roadmap for easing COVID-19 restrictions. This year's festival, which hosts 3 races solely for amateur jockeys, takes place from the 16th to 19th of March. A little bit of motorsport. Now, Finland's rallying great Hannu Mikkola, who has been suffering from cancer, has died at the age of 78. He won the world title in 1983 at the wheel of an Audi Quattro and was runner-up in the championship 3 times. Mikkola also claimed his home 1,000 Lakes event on a record 7 occasions. Now, a little bit on gymnastics. Now, a group of 17 women and girls are to start legal action against governing body British Gymnastics over alleged physical and psychological abuse. The group of current and ex-gymnasts aged between 15 and 43 complain about the conduct of coaches and people employed by clubs across the country. Nicole Pavier is among the claimants and says she hopes the move ensures the safety of future generations. An investigation into allegations of abuse at British Gymnastics is ongoing. Now, a little bit on snooker. Now, John Higgins said he's had the best week of his career after he thrashed Ronnie O'Sullivan 10-3 to win the Players' Championship in Milton Keynes. To get to the final, he won 3 matches, losing only 1 frame, with results of 6-0, 6-0, 6-1. O'Sullivan was playing in a record-equaling 57th ranking event final, and he was totally outplayed by Higgins, who played some scintillating snooker throughout the tournament. It's been on tennis. Now, Novak Djokovic has equalled Roger Federer's record of 310 weeks ranked as world number 1. And the 33-year-old Serbian is guaranteed to break that mark next week. Well, we'll come on to cricket now. Now, England were comprehensively beaten by India in the 3rd test to go 2-1 down in the 4-match series. Batting first, England compiled only 112 runs in their first innings, followed by only 81 in their second innings. India, making 145 in their first innings, only required 48 to win, which they got comfortably to beat England by 10 wickets. After the game, Root admitted he had misread the pitch, playing 3 seamers and only 1 specialist spinner. We tried to exploit the pink ball, and seam bowling looked the threatening option, said the England captain. Any comments?
It was another pitch that was not up to test standard again.
Yep.
Absolutely.
No, you think so, Chris?
I know you guys think so much of Joe Root because he's Yorkshire like, but for him to get 5 for 8 actually tells you he's playing on a sponge.
Well, I've got a lot of stats from that match which are quite interesting. Now, 81 is the lowest ever score England's got against India in 125 tests. The previous lowest was 101, which they got at the Oval in 1971. With only 842 balls bowled, it was the fewest number ever in a completed test match in history, since Australia beat New Zealand in 1945/6, when 872 balls were bowled. England only lasted 476 balls in both innings combined, and that was the 5th fewest in their history. It is only the 7th time ever that England have scored less than 200 in 2 completed innings in the same game. It was the 8th 2-day test since World War II, and England's first defeat inside 2 days since 1921. Playing in his 77th test match, Ashwin became the 2nd quickest bowler to reach 400 wickets, the fastest being Muralitharan, who reached this milestone in 72 tests.
Okay.
Now, only 4 Indian bowlers have now taken 400 wickets. Ashwin is 1. Can you name the other 3?
Kapil Dev.
Kapil Dev is 1, 434.
Beatty.
Who?
Christian Beatty.
Beatty, yeah.
No.
Chandra.
Got to be spinners.
They're all spinners.
Chandrasekhar.
Nope. Anil Kumble,
Yeah.
619,
Yeah.
and Harbhajan Singh, 417.
Somebody's
Now Ashwin,
going
he's
to
got Ben
rumble.
Stokes out. What was saying?
Sorry, Lol. I'm just thinking about it. Somebody's going to rumble these 2-day tests. I mean, they're losing 3 days of revenue. I know in COVID times that's not a lot, but when we get back to normal, 2-day test matches and the state of the pitch and what have you, the authorities are going to say not good enough, aren't they? It's going to lose money.
And Channel 4 will not be happy about it, will they?
No.
No.
Well,
They
Just
The
out,
authorities should be looking at the preparation of those pitches. I was reading an article which says India are famous for, in inverted commas, cheating with the pitches that they prepare. And
Well,
it's been going on for years and years and years.
Well, let's be honest, we all do it to some degree. I mean, we rely on swing bowling and hard pitches. The Aussies rely on very hard pitches.
You're not using the pitch, are you?
Yeah, but aren't the pitches supposed to last more than one session?
Yeah.
Like, they should still be reasonable after the first morning.
Yeah.
just
It
out
shouldn't-
of in-
It isn't usual for a man to have to come on with a dustpan and brush in order to sweep debris away from the wicket at the end of the first session. That is quite unusual, John.
Yeah.
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 You know where Ben Stokes went headlong after a bowling one of his balls? They were tamping that with a big whacker.
Yeah.
Where the footfall was.
It's the
out
same,
of interest,
the same
Chris.
difference as the extreme in West Indies. Remember it, Chris, when they actually abandoned the match because the pitch was too dangerous for the seam bowlers.
That's right, they did.
It's the same
It was
difference.
Barbados, wasn't it, Chris?
No. There's never been a dangerous pitch in Barbados. It was. I think it was Antigua.
No, it was wasn't in the run up. Wasn't in the run up, and they were sinking into the run up.
No, that was where they delayed
The actual pitch itself, but
No, the pitch was physically
the pitch
dangerous.
was
It
just
was,
too dangerous.
the umpires called it off. Umpires
Out
called
of,
it
in,
off.
out of interest, just asking the people who play cricket, not that I know, but to me, why didn't the English batsman take a stride or two down the wicket as he bowled?
We get bowlers to do that.
Because
It's the pace for the bowler.
you'd be stumped. Yeah, you'd be
Yeah,
stumped.
but if
You just throw it down the leg side.
if you get in it, if you get to the pitch of the ball, then surely you're gonna whack it.
Your bowler,
not that easy.
your bowler has the skills these days. So rather like taking a penalty, watching what the batsman's doing, and they'll change the flight. That's all you need to do. Change the flight. Wicket keeper, you stumped.
Yeah, speed
don't need to be very much.
But in the first innings, England's batsmen just seemed to be like a rabbit in the headlights on the crease. They didn't make any.
Well, they don't have the experience, Keith. That's the problem with wickets that change as much as that. It's the extent to which it turns or doesn't. The variation. You're only talking about. Well, Chris knows this. He's smiling. I can see him there.
But
it's fine margins.
To me, the batsmen ought to have taken it away from the bowlers a bit by showing a bit of aggression at times. That would have kept the bowlers thinking, whereas at times they just had the English batsmen pinned down.
But they look a bit silly if they're caught in the middle of the wicket and get stumped.
Yeah.
Well, I
They've
suppose
charged
so.
down the pitch and got stumped.
It's a career-threatening decision. It's a gone. He hasn't got the temperament.
I think.
By the way, in this country, with excessive spin, such as the Somerset ground at Taunton, we have taken action and dock points for excessive spin. Therefore, English batsmen do not have to play on such heaps. Because if any county prepares a wicket like that, the authorities will clamp down. You can't do it. So there's no experience of playing in quite such extreme conditions.
And from memory, Chris, I think there was only one English batsman in the first innings who got himself out. It was one of the openers, I think. The others were just beaten by the conditions.
Well, we get onto lots of subjects if we're not careful, but how you can treat Bairstow in the way that they've treated him is actually a whole topic in itself.
Yeah.
And he just came out and he was still walking the dog in Scarborough, I think.
Yeah.
You can't do that at this level. And the rotation policy is brilliant when it works. But the minute it doesn't work,
the world and his wife's got an opinion on it.
Yeah.
My opinion is you play your best team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
The sort of funniest point of the whole match, short though it was for me, I think it was Stokes. When Stokes was having a swing, he put this ball high up in the air, and you thought, oh, he's out, but he actually found a gap. But there was an Indian player running, and the ball was coming over his head, and this ball came down from an almighty height and bounced about an inch. And I'm thinking, well, it's sort of, God knows how many degrees heat, and you'd expect the pitch to be, or the field to be bone dry, and it comes down from a great height and it bounced about an inch. It was absolutely incredible.
Brian, if that was golf, you'd ask the umpire if you could move the ball, because
yeah.
Probably buried.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a few more stats. Ashwin has got Ben Stokes out 11 times in matches between the two countries. Joe Root's 5 for 8 is the best bowling figures by an England captain since 1982, when Bob Willis took 6 for 101 against New Zealand at Lord's. Root's previous best was 4 for 87 in South Africa last January. It's also the fewest runs conceded by any test spinner in history when taking 5 wickets. The previous best bowling was by Tim May for Australia when he took 5 for 9 against the West Indies at Adelaide in 1992-3. It's the first time in 121 tests playing together that Broad and Anderson have gone wicketless in a match. In nearly 14 years as an international and in his 100th test, Ishant Sharma scored his first 6. Only Graham McGrath has taken longer when he scored a 6 in his 102nd test for Australia. Axar Patel, after only his 2nd test match, has already got 3 5-wicket hauls to his name. And Virat Kohli has now 22 wins on home soil in 29 tests, making him India's most successful captain, surpassing MS Dhoni, who took 30 tests for his 22 wins.
And the 7 that he didn't win was only because the umpires didn't listen to him.
Now, it was announced yesterday that former England batsman Marcus Trescothick is among 3 elite coaching appointments made by the England and Wales Cricket Board. 45-year-old Trescothick becomes batting coach. Former England seamer John Lewis will assume responsibility for fast bowling, and with ex-New Zealand spinner Chetan Patel in charge of spinners. The 3 will work across all England men's teams, from age groups to the Lions and to the senior sides. Now we'll nip on to football to finish off. Now, some breaking news this morning that you might have heard is that former Liverpool and Scotland forward Ian St John has died after a long illness at age 82. He joined Liverpool from hometown Motherwell in 1961 for a club record fee of £37,500. He played 425 games for the Anfield side, scoring 118 goals during a decade of service. He won 2 top flight titles, and he scored the decisive goal as Liverpool won their first FA Cup final in 1965. He earned 21 Scottish caps, and he managed Motherwell and Portsmouth after retiring from playing.
Who did they beat in that final?
Dirty Leeds. The damn Leeds. Dirty Leeds.
When St John was in his heyday, there's a church not far from Penny Lane, and they'd put these adverts on to bring you the congregation in, and some guy had put an advert of it. What would you do if God came to Liverpool? And some wagon said, I'd move Ian St John to inside right.
I thought you were going to say another one where it says God saves, but John knocks in the rebound.
Yes, yeah.
Very sad. It's a good play. Good commentator.
Would never have thought that he would. I would
I'm
never have
going-
thought that Jimmy Greaves would outlast him either.
No, you wouldn't have
No.
thought so, would you?
No, it's sad. Very sad.
Do you know what he died of, Lowell?
Well, it's only announced this morning.
Hello?
Well, that's not
It
really.
doesn't say, does it?
I thought you had a hotline.
Sorry.
I'll find out at
Please,
half
yeah.
time.
Thank you.
From
Now,
where?
while we're talking about Liverpool, the city,
Sorry.
Everton have announced plans for a new 52,000-seater stadium, and they've been approved by the city councillors.
Oh, no, thank you.
The club said the Bramley Moor Dockside site will be a world-class
We want a
addition
heat
to the
loss
city's
check.
waterfront and hopes to host games there in 2024.
Private.
The £500 million
call.
scheme, which is claimed will create 15,000 jobs, will now go to the government for the final say. Everton have got £82 million plans for a series of community-led developments at its Goodison Park site. So, big plans afoot there.
It looks absolutely fabulous, right on the waterfront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, former Scotland, Manchester United and Leeds defender Gordon McQueen has been diagnosed with vascular dementia. The 68-year-old, whose career began at St Mirren, played 30 times for Scotland. He won the English First Division with Leeds and the FA Cup at Manchester United. McQueen went on to manage Airdrie and coach at Middlesbrough before working on as a television pundit. His family said the former centre-back was formally diagnosed in January. Now, Leeds United's all-time record goal scorer, Peter Lorimer, he's battling a long-term illness in a hospice, the club announced last Friday. The 74-year-old former Scotland international scored 238 goals in 705 appearances for Leeds over 2 spells spanning 23 years. He won 2 league titles, the FA Cup, the League Cup with Leeds under manager Don Revie, and he also won the Fairs Cup twice, as well as making 21 appearances for Scotland, in which he scored 4 goals. Now, Celtic manager Neil Lennon, he's resigned with his side 18 points adrift of Rangers in the Scottish Premiership. Lennon took charge for a second spell in February 2019, when Brendan Rodgers left, and he led the club to 2 titles, 2 Scottish Cups and a League Cup. However, Celtic are well behind their Glasgow rivals in their bid to win a 10th straight title, and the latest defeat at struggling Ross County 9 days ago prompted him to go. Now, former Watford, West Ham.
There's rumour that Paul Lambert's taking over.
Yeah.
It's like a merry-go-round, isn't it?
It is.
Of failed managers.
A former Watford, West Ham, Newcastle and Norwich boss, Glenn Roeder, he's died at age 65 after suffering a long battle with a brain tumour. Roeder, who was a defender during his playing days, began his managerial career with a spell in charge of Gillingham. He was also a coach in the England setup when Glenn Hoddle was their manager. He spent 8 months at Hillsborough during the 2014-15 campaign as an advisor to Chairman Chansiri as part of a 3-man committee.
Know that?
Did you know that, John?
Yeah, I did, and I thought he was foreman actually. But anyway, that's when he was taking advice from people who knew what they were doing. That ended a long time ago.
Pearson, wasn't it? Wasn't the other one Adam Pearson who went to Hull or somewhere?
Yeah.
But just finish
Glenn
off.
Sorry,
Go on, Chris, what are you saying?
But Glenn Roeder was the QPR captain in the cup final against Spurs, which they drew. And in the replay, he couldn't play because he picked up a suspension. And that's when Tony Curry, his great friend, took over the captaincy of QPR in the cup final. And TC, who I haven't spoken to for a week or 2, he'd be absolutely devastated. That was one of his closest friends in football, Glenn Roeder. He speaks so highly of that man. Must have been a very, very good and very knowledgeable man. Very sad.
Yep. Now, Liverpool, when they came to Bramall Lane on Sunday, scored their 7,000th goal in the top division when they scored their second goal. Now, only one club before them have reached 7,000 goals in the top tier. Anybody know who that club is?
Everton.
Everton.
Man U.
Everton.
Everton. They've scored 7,109 after last night. And finally,
And strictly speaking, they didn't score it.
no.
Well, officially speaking, not strictly.
Yeah.
And finally, Sheffield Wednesday have appointed Doncaster Rovers boss Darren Moore as their new manager. The Owls have been managerless since December 28th, when Tony Pulis was sacked after only 10 matches in charge, with the club 23rd at the table.
Yeah, it's to get them ready for League One.
46-year-old Moore have been in charge of Doncaster since July 2019. And Rovers have now named 37-year-old Andy Butler as their standing boss until the end of the season. There ended the news.
Hey, well done.
Yeah.
We'll discuss the Darren Moore or anything. We've got less than a minute, so get yourself a drink, lads, and I'll see you in 5. Okay.
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 Yeah.